So usually Angie's the one doing interviews, but today we're going to switch things up a little bit because she has a little bit of personal information that she wants to share, personal news. So Angie, tell us a little bit about what's going on in your life right now.
Well, I was unexpectedly diagnosed with breast cancer. It started with a mammogram that, by the way, I almost punted to the next year. I don't have a family history that I know of. I'm adopted, so some of that family history is minimal, but that was not among the things that I learned. So I just last minute, okay, I need to get my mammogram in, and then received a call back, which isn't unusual. Lots of women have had that before, and the mammogram and ultrasound in that second round, there was a lump, and so they asked me to come back for a biopsy, which I did, and the biopsy was benign, and the biopsy also, though, came with a referral to the surgeon. I'm new at all this. My mom was a nurse, but medical is not where my head is. So essentially, what was biopsied that came back benign, there was still something in there that looked suspicious. And so I have a phenomenal surgeon who said, we can wait 6 months and check it, or we can take it out. And I mean, I was having some anxiety about leaving it in there, like the what if, and it was small. And so I just said, let's do it. Let's do it. So I had a lumpectomy, and the surprise was that it came back cancerous. And then having lymph nodes taken out, and so fast forward and having a team and being treated now at Baptist Health Cancer Center and an oncology team, and going through what thousands, hundreds of thousands of people go through, and saying, I have cancer.
That's big news. And I know I've been here with you most
Yes.
days, and you are handling it well, but I can only imagine what's going on in your head. What was the first thought you had when you were told this news?
You know, it's really funny because it's the same. I'm an old mom, and there's a part of me that was just, when I found out I was pregnant, against all odds, I think I took I don't know, it was like 8 or something pregnancy tests. Like, there's no way. You know, obviously that was my daughter Olive is the greatest gift I never knew I always wanted. But first thought was just, I mean, this can't be real. But in the way that I handle and process things, I was like, as I'm reading on the screen, well, that sucks. Those were the exact words that were in my head. I kind of downplay and, use a little bit of humor, I think, to stave the seriousness of it. And then the second thought was, oh my gosh, what about Olive, my daughter? And then thinking about, my husband and Extol, and just it started this ripple of worry about everything. And then it's become more of, okay, we've got a job to do, and that is to get well and be well.
Absolutely. Speaking of Olive, and I don't think we've even talked about this, how did you tell Olive?
Oh, Lordy. So let me backtrack just for a second. I told Jason after I learned. I wanted to have some answers first, and part of that was my husband was married before, and his first wife, Andrea, died of lymphoma 6 months from diagnosis to death, and I knew that this would be heavy for him and some PTSD, and rightfully so. So I waited to tell him, and in fact, he kept asking me if I was going to take Olive to a Christmas party and kept pushing it, and finally I was like, I don't know, because I have cancer. And he knew that I had had a lumpectomy, and I was like, okay. And so we just sat there together, and I said to him, he's running for state representative, and I said to him, the diagnosis changes nothing as a passion for public service, and we are both in a race right now. But I said my number one priority, of course, is my health and getting well. I feel good. I'm fit in so many different ways because I've been battling prediabetes, so that's great. But my other number one priority is Olive and ensuring that she stays a child, that this doesn't turn her into this little adult, that she doesn't assume the responsibility. So I wanted to tell her together. And so we told her in the morning and just said, you know, mommy has cancer. And so she'd heard of it before. And her first question was, you going to lose your hair? And I said, if I lose my hair, it's okay. Mom has a strong wig game. So she knows I have all kinds of different wigs and things. But then she asked other questions like, you know, can I catch it? And all of these things that are just slowly starting to pop up and out of the blue. The hardest part was seeing her. She had a meltdown over eating breakfast that morning that I told her. And I'm like, I'm going in for my second surgery in 10 days. And in my head, I'm just like, oh my gosh. But thankfully, I didn't say that to her because I'm just in my head, I'm like, I don't need this right now. You know, as a mom, like, oh. But I held it in, and instead I held her and just let her cry because I realized this is not about oranges and string cheese. This is about my mom has cancer. And so we're doing everything we can to ensure that we keep things at a kid-friendly level. She's smart, so we're not lying to her. She's gonna see changes, but also she has to remain a child. That's my duty for her.
That's great. And I know when anybody finds out news like this, their life changes. Every day you're looking at life a little bit differently.
Yeah.
How have you been living differently? What have you been doing differently? Any sort of, I don't know, habits? How do you stay grounded during this time, and what are you doing daily now?
It's funny because, Jen, I mean, I think anybody who really knows me knows that I have always lived. I mean, I've always said this, we're not here to take up space. I will use my time. And I've always lived like that. I mean, I have lived as much as I possibly can, and you know, take life and just wring as much out of it as I can. Because that, to me, and connecting with people, that is part of the amazing human experience. But I'm doing it now more than ever. We eat breakfast every morning together now, every morning. And for better or worse, because some mornings are better, I'm a morning person, Jason and Olive are not necessarily. I love it, I look forward to it. I also, and this one's hard for me, everything I'm doing, I take snapshots. And it will take me out of the moment for a second, and I'm trying to force myself to stop doing that because, like at Christmas, looking at Christmas and being immersed in Christmas, and then you stop and take a snapshot, and it takes you out of life for a second because you just wonder, will I be here next year? Will I be here next year? Is this the last time? Jason pushed Olive in one of those awful grocery carts that are meant for kids, you know, with the truck, which she can, you know, I've got a giant, tall, little, beautiful, wonderful kid who got herself in there. I hate pushing that cart. I hate it. And I looked at it and I just went, is this a last? So trying not to look at it like that. And then also try not to get just angry. Just angry. Why? You know? But I walked into the cancer center for the first time, and what I remember of walking in there, you know, I've driven by it, I mean, probably thousands of times. And it just a building. And then inside it was so warm. But I looked around and I just thought, what can I do here? I'm gonna go there on a regular basis and get injected with things that are gonna help me fight this cancer, but what else can I do? So maybe not maybe, there are blessings and challenges, and I'm gonna use that.
You should. What are some thoughts of how you want to tell your story right now?
I am being very open about it. I cannot even begin to express the gratitude for our team. I feel very confident that our team, when I have to step back, because I will at times, even though I was in my hospital bed sending everybody emails and things, before going under for the second surgery. And that'll still be me because it gives me purpose. I love what we do at Extol. But the confidence that I have in our team makes me so grateful. We have clients who are partners who are walking through this with us. Doesn't mean that their services should suffer. I'm doing everything that I can to ensure that they don't skip a beat, although they've been so gracious as we've just kind of, heads are still spinning, but we're still doing for them what they deserve to be done. But I also appreciate that they care. And I will keep sharing and updating as I learn and as I know more, and I think really that makes this better and easier to connect. And I will say this, one of the things that I've asked for people, and I will continue to do this on social media when I'm going through who knows what, send me your stories, those reminders of life, that life goes on. Send me your happy stories, or who you're proud of yourself or proud of someone else, or something that reminds me not of, I have cancer, I have cancer, I have cancer. Something that reminds me of life and our humanity, and that despite this, the world's a really beautiful place.
It is. Do you have like a mantra that's keeping you going these days?
I don't think I can say it out loud.
Okay.
There is one in there, and I don't say it out loud too often. Certainly not on a camera. Sometimes I need that one. That's when I put my boss hat on, and like cancer and I have a little battle. But really, I put in my calendar, instead of chemo days or whatever they're called, cancer beatdown days. And so, I think that's really not necessarily, I haven't come up with the mantra, although somebody came up with a mantra for me, which I love. But I think more than anything, it's visualizing myself beating cancer and putting that fierceness that I do have to work, but also surrounding myself with positivity and kindness. And there is no better way to take ourselves out of our troubles, no matter how awful they are, or how hard they are, than by extending kindness in some way to someone else.
That's beautiful.
What can I do? What can I do with this to help someone else? I think that's going to be the key for me.
I think that's huge. And you're very purpose-driven. Our whole team is. That's why, you guys started Extol, and that's what we're doing.
We assembled a team, a mighty team.
A mighty team for sure. So you plan on keeping us updated on your journey?
I will.
Great. Well, cancer picked the wrong person to mess with, that's for sure. So we, more than thoughts and condolences, we're here fighting with you.
I appreciate that.
That's true.
Everybody except for Ginger.
Ginger will do her part in whatever way she can.
Yes, she can.
So we're here for you, Angie, in every way possible.
Thank you.
Thank you.